Yep, you're on.
Good. All right. So this is John Hammond, Mayor Pro Tem Paso Robles. This is the City Council for August 1st, 2023. We have an announcement that we have a conflict in our publicized agenda from 5 o'clock to 5:30. So we're going to postpone the actual start of our meeting tonight until 5:30. So anyone listening online, come on back in about 30 minutes and we should be able to get you started. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Paso Robles City Council meeting for August 1st, 2023. I'm John Hammond, Mayor Pro Tem, and we will begin our meeting for opening closed session with a announcement from our city attorney, or Mary. I read reading.
The city has returned to hybrid public meetings pursuant to AB 361, which allows for a deviation from the teleconference rules required by the Ralph M. Brown Act. Residents now have the option to attend the meeting in person or to participate remotely. To participate remotely, residents can live stream the meeting at www.prcity.com/YouTube and call 805-865-7276 to provide public comment via phone. The phone line will open just prior to the start of the meeting and remain open throughout the meeting to ensure opportunity to comment on each item heard by council. Written public comments can be submitted via email to cityclerk@prcity.com prior to 12 noon on the day of the council meeting, to be posted as an addendum to the agenda. If submitting written comments in advance of the meeting, please note the agenda item by number or name. City council meetings will be live streamed during the meeting and also available to play later on YouTube by accessing the following link, www.prcity.com/YouTube.
Thank you, Mary. We have two items on closed session tonight. I'll let our city attorney explain, or
I'll pinch hit for the city attorney.
Okay, very
so
good.
item number one is public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B. For the title is the city manager. Item number two is a conference call with legal counsel, initiation of litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9D4, significant exposure to litigation, one case.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Go ahead and open it up to public comment. Anyone in the audience? I can see no one here. Mary, do we have anybody online who would like to make a comment of closed session items?
We do not.
Thank you. All right, then we'll go ahead and move to adjourn to closed session and return here.
Mr. Hammond, do you want to take a roll call to?
Yes. Yes, we didn't do that. Mary, roll call.
Councilmember Bausch?
Present.
Councilmember Gregory?
Here.
Councilmember Strong?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hammond?
Here.
Please note Mayor Martin is absent.
Very good. Okay, we'll go ahead and then adjourn to closed session and return about 6:30 for open session. Welcome, everybody, to the Paso Robles City Council for August 1st, 2023. We're reconvening out of closed session. Before we do that, we'll read the AB 361 statement, please.
The city has returned to hybrid public meetings pursuant to AB 361, which allows for a deviation from the teleconference rules required by the Ralph M. Brown Act. Residents now have the option to attend the meeting in person or to participate remotely. To participate remotely, residents can live stream the meeting at www.prcity.com/YouTube and call 805-865-7276 to provide public comment via phone. The phone line will be open just prior to the start of the meeting and remain open throughout the meeting to ensure the opportunity to comment on each item heard by council. Written public comments can be submitted via email to cityclerk@prcity.com prior to 12 noon on the day of the council meeting, to be posted as an addendum to the agenda. If submitting written comments in advance of the meeting, please note the agenda item by number or name. City council meetings will be live streamed during the meeting and also available to play later on YouTube by accessing the following link, www.prcity.com/YouTube.
Thank you. We originally opened our meeting at 5:30 into closed session, so I'll allow our city attorney to report out of closed session, please. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. We went into closed session on two items. The first was public employee performance evaluation for the city manager's position. The second was conference with legal counsel regarding initiation of litigation, and for one case, and there's no reportable action on either item.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and call roll call just to get this portion started again, please.
Councilmember Bausch?
Present.
Councilmember Gregory?
Here.
Councilmember Strong?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hammond?
Here.
Please note Mayor Martin is absent.
And if we would all then rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for Rabbi Gordon's invocation. Join with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rabbi Gordon.
Thank you. Almighty God, Master of the universe, the members of this esteemed body, the Paso Robles City Council, convene here today to fulfill one of the 7 commandments which you issued to Noah and his family after the great flood, the commandment that all societies be governed by just laws. As stated in the book of Genesis and its sacred commentaries, you issued at the time the following 7 laws: to worship you and you alone, never to blaspheme your holy name, not to commit murder, not to commit adultery, not to steal, lie, or cheat, not to be cruel to any living creature, and that every society be governed by just laws based on the recognition and acknowledgement of you, O God, as the sovereign ruler of all humankind and all nations. Grant, Almighty God, that the members of this council constantly realize that by enacting just laws and regulations, they are doing your will. Almighty God, I beseech you today to bless the city council and our entire city in the merit of a spiritual giant of our time and of our country, the Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, of righteous blessed memory. Grant, Almighty God, during this special year of Hakel gathering commemorating a once in 7 years biblical event of unity and spiritual growth, that the members of this council be cognizant that the gathering here today fulfills a sacred purpose. And let us pray in the words of King David in the book of Psalms, chapter 122, may there be peace within your walls, serenity within your mansions. Finally, I ask that you bless Mayor Martin and all our council members with health and the peace of mind to fulfill these sacred duties. May it be your will, Almighty God, that the efforts of the council members be successful, empowering all the individuals of this great city to be decent human beings, considerate of others, reverent of you, and ready to do their bit toward the ultimate goal of a perfect world in which your presence will be manifest. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Beginning then with staff introductions, we'll start over on our right. Mary?
Mary Sponholtz, Deputy City Clerk.
Melissa Boyer, City Clerk, joined by Karen Jackson, IT Technician, and Shauna Howenstein, Civic Engagement Coordinator.
Warren Frace, Community Development Director.
Dita Esperanza, Capital Projects Engineer. Linda Flashine, Recreation Services Manager. Frida Berman.
District Services, Randy Harris,
Bill, you want to stand? Yeah. There you go.
Ty Lewis, City Manager.
Very good. Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to presentations. First up is going to be Capital Projects Report. Frida Berman.
Good evening, Council. This is our monthly status report update of Public Works projects. We'll start with those projects that are currently under construction. Next slide, please. So the 17th Street project from Chestnut to Spring is as a road repair project that we wanted to get done once the Bauer spec improvements were completed. However, before we can do the road repair, the underground pipes underneath those roads are old and need to be rehabbed. And so consequently, before we can do the road repair, we're doing sewer and water upgrades. So right now we've started with the sewer, and these are photos of the progress of that pipeline. Once the sewer is complete, then we would move on to the water main upgrades. And then after that, we should be complete with all the undergrounds. We're hoping to have all the undergrounds completed first quarter 2024, and then we can do the road repair after that. The next project is a new road that we're constructing at the municipal airport called Right Way. We're starting with preliminary grading and again, sewer. Sewer is always the first to start because it's the lowest of all the pipelines. So here are some photos of that progress. And then finally, we just completed our experimental fiberized slurry seal treatment on our west side streets. The streets shown here in red are the streets that we tried this fiberized slurry. And here are some photos of the completed treatment. Very nice. Really nice. So this experiment is turning out to be quite successful, and so we hope to do more in the future on our West Side Street and really put our maintenance dollars to the extent that we can and doing more streets.
This was the same material we used on the west side of Tower, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yes. Very good.
Just look at this again.
Yeah.
All right. That concludes my report.
Pretty proud of that. Okay.
Well, I'm moving on to Frida. Take me away.
Thank you, Ditas.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, Frida Berman, Public Works Director. First, I'd like to talk about Fire Station 3. As you know, we've been in some significant supply chain delays as well as issues with getting power to the building. But we now have a fire station, as you can tell from these photos. It's beautiful. And we received word this week that one of the last key pieces of equipment, the automatic transfer switch, is scheduled to arrive the week of September 8th. So that means that we are just waiting for power after that. So that'll be another update the next time we meet, but progress is being made. Progress is also being made on the Uptown Family Park water feature replacement. You can see that the concrete pad has been poured. The contractor is now going to start installing the actual water misting equipment and the landscaping, and we hope to be done at the end of this month. Barney Schwartz Park pump track construction, as a reminder, completely funded by the Rec Foundation, a $500,000 project. We're having the pre-construction meeting with the contractor tomorrow, And construction's estimated to begin this month and continue through November. We're getting a lot of public interest in this project, so I think the community is really excited to see it built. Law enforcement facilities at 4305 Second Wind Way, the office facility, as well as the evidence storage facility will be out to bid this month, and we'll report back when we receive those bids. And finally, in design, we've also seen progress. The 90% plans for the pickleball court complex have been submitted to the building department for review, and an application to PG&E for the new power is being prepared now. So there's progress there. And finally, the shade structure and patio expansion between the Veteran and Senior Center is in design for construction documents. So we should be seeing something on that as well. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Frida. Any questions from Frida?
No.
Good. Good. Yep, very nice. Adidas. Fred, I think, has a question for you.
Yes.
We're getting a lot of questions about Commerce Way. And I know we're waiting for utility work. Do we have any schedule, any knowledge of when they're planning to put the utilities in to cross that street so that we can then start working on the street?
They had told me that they were going to get their plans approved in August and begin construction in August. Unfortunately, they ran into some difficulties to getting their plans approved, so we're just waiting for them to get their plans approved, and then they'll be in construction and then go from there.
So we're still hoping maybe we can start next year on the street?
Yes, if they get into construction soon, then we would be following it on the heels of it, yes.
Very good, thank you.
One question for me, Deedus, real quick, back on our fibrous seal coat. Before we apply that, are we trying to bring the street up as level as possible before that coating goes over it? I mean, sometimes, over the years, things sink and we have, even if we put the seal over it, it's still going to be kind of a poor look. Are we trying to bring things up as level as possible with some of our own supply, our own workers before they come in and seal?
No, actually, before we placed the actual fiberized slurry, first we did dig out repairs.
Yes, dig out. Yeah.
And then we did a leveling course.
Yes.
And so the leveling course would then smooth out all the nooks and crannies and create a level plane that would allow the fiberized slurry to be on a level plane. That's why it looks so smooth.
And give it that nice look. Okay.
Correct.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Okay. Brings us up to general public comments. Question on anything that has been said so far. Anybody have any questions from the public on this? Dale?
Dale Guston. I just have a concern about how the public will handle that fire station vehicles coming towards the dog park, because we got enough trouble with them handling the dog park. And then when a emergency vehicle approaches the dog park, I sure hope the public knows how to handle that, but I have concerns about that.
We will see. Anyone else?
Andrew Robillard on behalf of ACI Jet, 4900 Wingway, Paso Robles. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. I want to thank the city for the opportunity to submit our proposal to enter into the long-term partnership with the city of Paso Robles as an FBO at the Paso Robles Municipal Airport. While I understand
Mr. Mayor, maybe we should have the attorney weigh in on whether this is appropriate for open session council on submitting a bid for a job.
Yeah, why don't we hang on a second.
Sure.
Because I know that the airport department is receiving proposals for this, correct? It's not on our agenda yet, but is it something that you want to supply staff with, or do they already have this?
they already have a copy. These are your copies, and we're entering them into the public record.
Then we probably ought to make a statement?
Elizabeth, do you want to weigh in on whether it's appropriate to be delivering these to the council at this time?
Sure. So we have received bids on the project. The bids are under review by the review committee. This item will be coming to the council in the future. It would be my recommendation that they not be provided to the council, although it is public comment. So if they'd like to do that, they can. They would be making their comments public, their proposal public. The rest of the bids are not public at this point and will not be disclosed.
Yeah, I think probably most appropriate right now is to keep it with staff, and then at the appropriate time, we can be presented your information.
Okay, I going into this, that was an understood fact, was that this would be entered into public record. So, but I also understand if you wouldn't like to accept it, that's fine too, whatever works for you all.
Okay. I think we probably ought to, that's transparent anyway. We haven't seen anybody else's proposals or anything at all. So I think best just to give it to staff and we'll receive it at the appropriate time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Right.
Okay.
Dale Guston again, Mayor. Are we taking general comment now?
No, well, I was
Okay.
getting there.
Let me
I was
know.
getting there. Yeah. So let me go ahead and open up general public comments. At this time, we're going to allow any of the public to come up and give anything that they have on their mind to the council that is in our purview. We can't act on any agenda item that is not on the agenda, of course. So please go ahead and take 3 minutes, and anything you have to say, we can hopefully help you. If not, we'll refer to staff and we'll get back to you.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of council. My name is Mark Sadowski, and my family and I live on Sleepy Hollow Road here at Paso Robles. I'm here this evening to bring council's attention to a matter where I believe there's an opportunity to revise a current city ordinance to provide for a reduction in unnecessary staff calls for service, provide greater flexibility for the residents, and also still maintain compliance with the ordinance. The item in question pertains to the city's regulation of on-street parking for recreational vehicles. The municipal code currently prohibits parking an RV, including travel trailers, on a street at any time. There are some limited exceptions available, and the item I'd like to discuss specifically is Municipal Code Section 12.38.035, subsection C3, regarding the issuance of parking permits. Currently, the ordinance allows for a permit to be issued to authorize an RV to be parked on a city street for a period of 72 hours, with no more than one permit issued every 30 days. This is a great option. However, it can present some logistical challenges for those looking to travel out of town. When leaving for a trip and having to park the RV in front of your residence, it takes time to prepare, load the vehicle, inspect to make sure it's roadworthy before heading out for your trip. When you return home, it takes time to unload, clean, put things away, and then eventually park the vehicle. By having the 72 hours currently as concurrent, you can either only get a permit for before you leave or after you get home. And so that presents an opportunity for potential calls for service for unpermitted parking of the RVs on city streets. What I would like to ask the council to consider is engaging with city staff to review the ordinance and pursue options for modification based on some of the feedback shared this evening. Options to consider could be having a cumulative 72-hour period within a 30-day time frame, or even entertain the idea of a total number of permits in a 12-month time frame not to exceed a certain number, given that many families, including ours, travel when their kids are out of school during summer vacation. I would happily offer to volunteer to work with city staff on this matter as a resource. I formerly worked for a local jurisdiction in the area and have familiarity with developing policy and regulation, and also have a great working relationship with a number of city staff in the Community Development Department. Lastly, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening and would welcome any questions you may have at this time.
Okay, any questions of the applicant? Yeah.
Would you be sure to leave your name and phone number and address so we can reach out to you?
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to recommend.
He's turned in a slip,
I did, yes.
and I trust that our staff will probably get in touch with you to talk about this matter.
I'm not sure which department, Warren, would that be yours to start with, or?
It's the police department,
Police department,
Mr. Mayor
right.
Pro Tem.
Absolutely.
Be happy to work with you, sir.
Great. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Good evening again. Dale Guston, 5770 Vista Serrano Way, Paso Robles, California, 93446. Even with that address, nobody's given me an answer to my question I've asked twice. And that's been the tradition. Whenever somebody presents a question at the general comment time, you say you'll get back to me. Well, everybody knows my email, dale@daleguston.com. And my question is, why is it I can get a senior pass in San Luis, but I can't get one in Paso Robles, even though my address is Paso Robles, but it's outside the city limits? And why are we limiting it to, say, 10% of the seniors that live even in the city of Paso Robles? Those two questions I'd like an answer to, if you would, please.
Very good. We're not going to really answer.
Yeah. Yes, I am. Give me 24 hours. I'll give you an answer. Okay?
All right. We'll get an answer for you, Dale, if you like. Yeah.
And that's coming from the ad hoc parking committee, Dale.
Okay, welcome.
Mayor Pro Tem and council members, I'm James Worthley. I'm with the San Luis Obispo Council of Governments, or SLOCOG. I wanted to provide your council and listening public with an update on our region's transportation funding efforts and challenges, and we seek feedback from you and the public through our website and survey tools. SLOCOG is your regional transportation planning agency, and Fred Strong sits on our board as your representative. SLOCOG receives state and federal funds primarily through the gas tax to improve transportation through the cities and communities within San Luis Obispo County. In Paso Robles, some of the familiar projects that you probably know of that SLOCOG had funding help with was Golden Hill, 46 East intersection and signal, all of 46 East widening, 46 West efforts and improvements, the bridges on Niblick and 13th Street. There's a lot of projects that SLOCOG has been involved in, but we just don't have the funding to do them quickly and do them as soon as we'd like to have them done. Now, to receive federal and state funds, SLOCOG is required to develop a long-range 20-year transportation plan, but transportation is funded through the gas tax. And increased conservation and hybrids and electric vehicle technology is leading to declining revenues from it. And this is why our long-range plan is a $2.3 billion shortfall for improvements like safe routes to school, interchanges, highways, overcrossings, transit, bikeway improvements, downtowns and safety, and potholes and maintenance as well. We can continue to rely on state and federal gas tax, but that means falling further behind. Or we can do what 25 other California counties have done, including Santa Cruz, Monterey, and Santa Barbara, who have a dedicated sales tax as guaranteed to deliver their most needed transportation improvements. Every year, those three counties each have $25 to $50 million extra on top of whatever we typically get to put toward their most needed projects. And they also use their funds to match state competitive grants. We are missing out on tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars from grant funding from the state because these other counties have more money to offer up as a match. A dedicated sales tax in our county and cities would raise nearly $1 billion and capture probably another $1 billion from the state. And you could see a percentage share, fair share back to this city of the $2 billion. Every city and community could see their most needed projects delivered faster and cheaper than if we continue to rely on a diminishing gas tax. We'd like your input on what is most needed. And I sent an email to each of the council members as well as key staff at the city of Paso Robles for your response. And we'd like the public to respond as well through our website at localroadsfirst.com. At that website, they can learn more and identify again what they feel is most needed. We have a 20-minute presentation that we're offering to organizations and clubs, and we're happy to connect with them. And for more information and provide input into our survey, please visit localroadsfirst.com.
All right. Thank you very much, James. Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to do a comment on the general public comment area? All right.
No, sir.
Anyone online, though?
My apologies. No, sir.
Okay. All right, we're moving on then to item M, agenda items to be deferred. So, Mr. City Manager, do we have anything
set up yet?
No, sir.
Very good. Brings us then to consent calendar. These are items that don't normally require full discussion, but if any council member or public wish to remove or pull a consent item either for question or discussion, we can certainly do that. I'll first start with the council. Anybody wish to pull anything this time? Gregory?
So, item number 9, I'd like to see what that is. Is that, sorry, Linda. Could you briefly describe that for us, please? I'm used to NCI doing something different.
Absolutely. This is Linda Plesha, Recreation Services Manager, and item 9 is regarding the occupancy license for concession sales with NCI affiliates. I have a brief summary that's probably just easier to share with all of you about the project. We're really excited about this in Recreation Services, so any opportunity to share this with the public, we'll take advantage of that. The 22-26 Recreation Services Strategic Plan was developed using significant community input. Feedback included a desire for more teen-oriented activities and supportive services. In response, the goal to establish a teen center at Centennial Park was included in the plan. The Teen Center will be open Monday through Thursday after school until 5 p.m., beginning Monday, August 21st. 77% of the 270 respondents to our Youth Commission Teen Center survey identified cafe food service as an amenity they would like included in the new Teen Center. Staff and the Youth Commission's Teen Center Committee visited the Atascadero Teen Center and the cafe operated by NCI. As a result, they recommended that the cafe food service being provided by NCI there be replicated at the Paso Robles Teen Center. The Paso Robles Youth Commission accepted the Teen Center Committee's recommendation to partner with NCI to provide after-school cafe services for the Paso Robles Teen Center at Centennial Park. The 109 square foot cafe space in the Paso Robles Teen Center, approved as a satellite facility for food service, includes a display refrigerator, small sink, and countertop freezer. Due to the limited square footage, amenities, and a teenage customer base, this space is not conducive to running a fiscally profitable cafe. Because NCI's goal is not to generate a profit, but rather to provide a supported work program for individuals with intellectual and physical disabilities, partnering with them will bring low-cost food service to the Teen Center and provide teens with an opportunity to learn how to be patient, kind, and considerate with people who have differing needs. The partnership between the City of Paso Robles and NCI to provide cafe services at the Teen Center will expand services for teens in our community and benefit both organizations. The agreement between NCI and the city calls for a $200 per month rental fee plus 5% of gross sales. Staff recommends approving the occupancy license for concession sales with NCI to provide Paso Robles Teen Center cafe services. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Great project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Linda? All right. Thank you, Linda.
Is that yours?
All right. That was the only one that the council had a discussion item. Then I'll open it up again to the public. Anybody wishing to pull any consent item for discussion or question? Seeing none. Okay, we'll bring it back then to council. We have items 1 through 11 on consent.
Mr. Hammond?
Mr.
I'd like to move that we approve items 1 through 11 on the consent agenda.
Second.
First by Gregory, second by Bausch. Any discussion? Okay, we'll call for the question. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and have, I think, City Manager then, Ty Lewis, go ahead and read off what we just approved.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. First item is approval of the July 18th, 2023 City Council meeting minutes, followed by receipt of the warrant register, followed by the reaffirmation of Resolution 2318, which approves remote and hybrid remote in-person meetings. pursuant to pursuant to Assembly Bill 361. Item number 4 is receipt of the treasurer's report for March 2023, April 2023, and May 2023, and last but not least, June of 2023. Item number 8, approval of surplus property for disposal. Item number 9, we just talked about, which involves our NCI's affiliate partners. Item number 10 is approval of construction contract for Centennial Park and Larrymore Park for asphalt path repairs. And last but not least, approval of contract with Ramina Construction for storm debris cleanup and pond repairs at the wastewater treatment plant. And that ends your consent calendar.
Thank you, Todd. Moving on, we have now public hearings. We'll officially open the public hearing, and item 1 on that is going to be the Airport Division fee update. Mark Scandalis, Airport Manager.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, Mark Scandalis, Airport Manager. Thanks for having me. I'm here to give a presentation on an update to the Airport Division fees. Next slide. So once per year, the City Council considers the city's master fee schedule. That includes all departments throughout the city. On June 20th, the City Council approved the master fee schedule minus the Airport Division fees. We wanted to give the Airport Commission an opportunity to consider these fees before bringing it to Council for adoption. On June 22nd of last month, the Airport Commission considered these fees and unanimously voted to recommend them to Council for adoption. Next slide, please. So some of the goals for this airport fee update was to modernize our airport fees, to account for common operations that are happening in Paso Robles, but are simply not listed on our fee schedule, to provide industry common exemptions for applicable fees, and to provide fees that recover costs from transient aircraft, not based aircraft. Next slide. So some common airport fees as a point of reference are overnight parking fees, landing fees, and fuel flowage fees. Next slide. Since at least 1976, the City Council has adopted fees for the airport. It is unknown when the entirety of the airport fees were last looked at. If you're to look at the structure of the fees from 1976 and the structure of the fees now, they're largely the same. Next slide. Current revenue to the airport fund from our three fee sources, three main fee sources are first, based aircraft and car parking. You can see over the last 3 fiscal years, it's steadily increased to $22,000 in fiscal year 23. That's due to implementing a collection protocol on that and tracking the aircraft and cars that are parking at the airport better. Fuel flowage fee, you can see is $79,000 for this year to date. That is highly variable based on the amount of flying that's happening, and including CAL FIRE's fire season. And then landing fee revenue, year to date, we are collecting $34,000. That is also highly variable based on CAL FIRE's season. Currently, we do not have a collection protocol for that. We only collect from the heaviest users, that being CAL FIRE and now the Royal Air Force. Next slide. As part of this fee update, the city's finance department recommended we do a comparison for other airports around our region and out of the region. It's important to include out-of-region comparators because the world becomes a lot smaller in an aircraft. You can travel great distances in a short amount of time. So as a point of reference, Paso Robles is a general aviation airport. We have about 40,000 operations per year. We charge limited landing and parking fees, and we charge a fuel flowage fee. Of our regional comparators, Watsonville Airport is a general aviation airport with about 60,000 operations per year. They charge overnight fees, and they own their own fuel service, so they make all of the profit from the sale of fuel. Santa Maria Airport has 34,000 operations listed. They have limited commercial service. They charge landing fees and fuel flowage fees, and like us, they have a CAL FIRE air attack base. Salinas Airport, a general aviation airport with about 70,000 operations. They charge fuel flowage fees and overnight parking fees. And then San Luis Obispo is our last within our region. They are likely our least comparable airport, but because of their proximity to us, it's important that we include them in our fee comparison. Any traffic diverting from San Luis Obispo will likely come to us. We need to keep an eye on what they're doing. They charge landing fees, parking fees, and fuel flowage fees, and they have 83,000 operations and heavy commercial service. Out of the region, we have 3 comparator airports. First is Montgomery Gibbs Airport in San Diego. This is a high throughput general aviation airport. They have 276,000 operations per year. They charge landing fees, parking fees, and fuel flowage fees. The next one is Siskiyou County Airport up in Northern California, general aviation airport with 13,000 operations. They charge landing fees, parking fees, and fuel flowage fees. And like us, they have a CAL FIRE air attack base. And the last one is Mojave Air and Spaceport. As the city pursues its FAA Part 420 spaceport license, it's important that we compare ourselves to the other publicly owned spaceport in the state. And they're also one of the only places that you can do small or engine testing like we've set up on the east side of the airport. And they are a general aviation airport with a spaceport component with about 21,000 operations per year. Next slide, please. So here is the update to the fee schedule. We will go into detail on these updates. In red, you can see the discontinuation of obsolete fees. Yellow is the restructuring of fee descriptions to better meet their intent. And red is or green is the addition of new fees to fill in the gaps. Because these operations are happening, we simply don't have them listed on our fee schedule. Next slide, please. This is page 2 of the updated fee schedule, and next slide. And page 3. Now we'll go into the details of this fee update. Next slide. So first we have discontinuation of a few fees. First one is daily and monthly maximum landings for landings under 20,000 pounds. So we have 9 categories for landing fees. Only one of them has a daily and monthly maximum. In order to evenly apply our fees, we'd have to add them to all the landing categories or take them away from the one. We've elected to take it away from the one. Next is a fuel development fee. Next is a fuel development fee. We essentially have 2 fuel flowage fees. One is a 3-cent fee for fuel development, and one is the regular fuel flowage fee. This fee was originated from the previous fuel services contract. The city had recently put in money into the fuel island, the self-serve fuel island, right as that contract was coming in. We wanted to account for the funds the city had just recently put into it. We proposed that we get rid of the 3-cent fuel and wrap it into our total fuel flowage fee. This will not change our fuel flowage at all. It will still effectively be 10 cents per gallon on aviation gas and 12 cents per gallon on jet fuel. Next slide. Next part of this fee update is to restructure the wording of our landing fee description. Currently, we have a landing fee description which designates things non-commercial or commercial. This is an older style of landing fee description. It likely dates back to the federal deregulation of the airline industry, when airliners were now subject to fair market. And at that time, there was commercial and there was general aviation. This is a bit of an antiquated system, and most airports have gone away from it, and we'll go into why. Next slide. So this is April 5th of this year, just a few months ago. You can see the main aircraft parking area is full of aircraft. We don't have much more room. This doesn't happen every day, but it does happen more often than you'd think. From this lot of aircraft, we do not collect any landing fees because they're part of a category that is new since our landing fees were adopted. If we go to the next slide, they're part of something likely called something FAA's Part 91K. These are fractional ownership operators. So this is essentially a timeshare in an aircraft. You can purchase into the aircraft, purchase time per month or per year. You'll have a company that manages it for you, provides you pilots, provides you maintenance, and you just hop on and go where you'd like to go. There's many companies that do this, from NetJets to FlexJets, Surfair, a number of other companies. These operate under the FAA's Part 91 regulation, which is general aviation. This was introduced into the Federal Register in 2005, and our fees currently don't account for them, and they are exempt from landing fees. Next slide. So So the new proposed landing fee structure is to shift from our commercial/non-commercial designation to a weight floor model. All of the airports in our comparison use this as a weight floor. They do not use commercial versus non-commercial. The Airport Commission considered this and recommended it unanimously to the City Council. They chose 6,000 pounds as a weight floor. What this will do for us is it will match industry trends. Our airports are going to this model here and allow us to capture that Part 91K traffic. In addition to the 6,000 pound weight floor, so that 6,000 pounds is when we would start charging landing fees. Below 6,000 pounds represents your classic general aviation aircraft. Small aircraft have the least impact on the airfield, least impact on the airport, thus are exempt from fees. In addition to that 6,000 pound floor, the addition of industry common exemptions have been included into the fee structure. First is based aircraft. If you're a based aircraft, you're stationed in Paso Robles, you're paying your hangar rates, you're paying your taxes, you will not be charged landing fees. Whether you're 6,000 pounds or more, it doesn't matter, you won't be charged landing fees. Next is federal government. This is left ambiguous in our current fee schedule, but we are not allowed to charge the federal government except in certain circumstances, and this is now included as a point of housekeeping. Next three are Angel Flight, Life Flight, and Air Ambulance. These are medically associated flights. For obvious reasons, we'd like to keep them exempt. Touch and go operations are also exempt. If you're a student pilot coming from a nearby airport and you want to get a different field in a different airport environment, you can do that for free. And then again, we have the 6,000 pound weight floor. Next slide. So you're probably thinking, who will this affect at our airport? So on the top of this slide, you can see the percentage of our landings. 82% of our landings are less than 6,000 pounds. They are exempt from these landing fees. This is the classic general aviation aircraft. We don't want to charge them. We want them to come to our town. We want them to spend a weekend here and get here by aircraft if they can. The other categories of aircraft represent 18% of our landings. These are your business class aircraft. These are your commercial style aircraft. There's two categories listed here, 6,000 to 12,500 and 12,500 and above. Back in the 1970s, the FAA made a designation and they said at 12,500 pounds and above, that's a large aircraft. At 12,500 pounds and below, that is a small aircraft. Since the 1970s, aviation has progressed. There is now a new category of aircraft that are very capable business class aircraft that operate between 6,000 and 12,500. That's why we chose 6,000 as our weight floor. Next. In addition to getting rid of some obsolete fees and restructuring our landing fees, we have several proposed new fees. On the left-hand side, you can see our proposed new fees. On the right-hand side in green, you can see our comparator airports. If you see a negative number there, that means we are that percentage lower than the comparator airport. If you see a positive, we're that percentage higher. As a whole, we are very low compared to our comparator airports. The first new fee that we're proposing to add is transient aircraft parking for a jet. We have single engine and twin engine listed on our fee schedule. We do not have jets. A jet is 4 to 5 times larger than a single engine or twin engine, so the fee is set at 4 to 5 times higher, which is $30 per night. Next one is a transient parking for a helicopter. We do have a heliport with 6 parking positions. We get a fair amount of helicopter traffic. We do not have a fee listed for helicopters. This is set at $7 per night, which is the same as a single engine fixed wing aircraft. Next one we have is a Type 1 helicopter. Type 1 helicopter are some of the largest helicopters in the world. These are the helicopters that mobilize for CAL FIRE's attack season. We have been collecting this fee for many, many years. CAL FIRE has been paying this fee for many, many years. It has never been included in our fee schedule. A Type 1 helicopter takes a lot of space itself on the ramp. It also comes with fuel trucks, maintenance vehicles, pickup trucks to run into town, and trailers for the crew for day use. So it's set at $75 per night, the same fee we have already been collecting from CAL FIRE.
And the cleanup that happens from them too.
And the cleanup that happens from them. The next one is an airship mooring, so think about the Goodyear blimp. We do occasionally get the Goodyear blimp. just like a Type 1 helicopter, a Goodyear blimp comes with ground support vehicles, takes up a lot of space at the airport, set at $75 per night. Next is a based aircraft parking for a jet. We do not have jets listed. Just like the transient aircraft parking, a jet is 4 to 5 times larger. That fee is 4 to 5 times larger than the single engine, twin engine, set at $350 per month. The next fee is a new upper landing fee category. This would be considered on a case-by-case basis. We can't just take every aircraft that's up to 220,000 pounds. This is to specifically account for the Royal Air Force's A400M. This is a larger aircraft than we currently account for on our fee schedule. It's set at $250 per land. Next is a terminal building use and rental. This is $2 per square foot. I've had numerous calls of flying clubs that would like to come in and rent out the upper floor of the terminal, or business meetings that, you fly in with your aircraft and you want to do your business meeting right at the airport instead of having to go into town. I've even had a wedding ask if they could do it at the airport. So I think we would consider these on a case-by-case basis, but now we would have a fee to apply to that. Next is airfield access for non-aviation. So obviously for aviation, you're not going to have a fee. But for non-aviation, it's $1,500 per event. This would be if a driving club wanted to come in and do a driving course on one of the rural parts of the airport, or if a filmmaker wanted to come in and shoot a scene of a movie, something like that. We now have a fee to apply. And the last two are associated with the small engine testing site that we've built on the east side of the airport. Currently, it is leased month to month by one entity. They use the site 3 or 4 times a month. There's plenty of opportunity for other companies to come in and spur innovation at the airport. For $100 per month, a company can drop a 20-foot storage container and they can store their testing equipment, their tables, their chairs, their generators, the things that they would need to mobilize in order to do the testing at the airport. They can have it ready and prepared for when they want to come in and reserve the site for $150 per day. Next slide. So you're probably interested in the fiscal impact. On an aggregate, this would be about $76,000 per year. The proposed new fees would be about $10,000 per year. We won't fully know until we have an implementation protocol. And the update to the landing fees, along with a collection protocol, if we were collecting from all the aircraft that we could, it would be $66,394 per year. That is, we have a bit better idea on that because we have implemented a tracking system based on transponders inside of aircraft that has been mandated since the year 2020. So we now have better data on who's coming and going to the airport. Our current fees collected now are about $154,000 per year. With this fee update and a collection protocol, that would go to about $230,000 per year. Next slide. So the recommendation tonight is to adopt the updated airport division fees schedule as presented for implementation on September 1st, 2023. Now, I would be happy to take any questions you have, but I'd like to bring up Airport Commissioner Bill Britton for a statement from the Airport Commissioner.
Welcome, Bill.
Thank you very much. I'm here for 2 reasons. The first is the Commission's full support behind the fee study. I think it shows a fiscal responsibility that we're not used to at the airport, and it's a move to the progress side. And I think it's also a side that shows we understand that this is a business for the city and the Commission is fully supporting it. Secondly, I'd like to really acknowledge the work that the airport manager has put into the study, the sharing of information, the knowledge base necessary to make these decisions. There are no hidden agendas. We see everything, we hear everything, and we really appreciate the work that he's done and that you all did in selecting him. If there's any questions for me, I'd be glad to take them. Otherwise, I'll yield back.
Very good. Fred?
Yes, quick question, if I may, for either one of you. And that is, you're anticipating additional money. Do you have a reason why you need the additional money? Do you have an expenditure plan, in other words, or will it become savings or reserve or what?
We do have an ad hoc committee of the Airport Commission right now who is looking at a kind of study of the airport that we haven't released publicly yet, but we are looking for different funding mechanisms. Staffing is certainly something we need to do. General maintenance, being able to cover grant matches. If we're going to get some large dollars from the FAA, we're going to need to match those grant funds. So having these extra fees in place will help us be able to do all of those things.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll make a comment on that real quick. You know, as a user out there for almost 40 years, I mean, there's plenty of places to spend money on the airport for maintenance, and that's a major problem. Like, we just don't have the support, financial support, basically, to make everything look as nice as we'd like to see it anyway out there. So, Steve Gregory.
Yeah, Mark, so a couple questions for you. Are you the only employee out there?
There is one maintenance person, but I'm the only employee who works in the front of the house. Yeah.
And that maintenance person's part-time, full-time?
They are full-time, but we do run 5 days per week. The busiest days at the airport are Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, and we are not there.
Okay. And then the other question is, on the collection of these landing fees, how is that set up?
Collection protocol will be brought to the Airport Commission for consideration and then to the City Council, but due to our staffing levels, we don't have the capacity to administer that program ourselves. Many airports use a fee collection that is revenue share based.
And with the increase of funding, that would certainly allow you to staff up, maybe with a more staff person to help out at the airport.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Chris, do you have any questions? I'll make a comment real quick and question. Again, I do applaud the fact that our city is not going to be implementing landing fees for general aviation. I mean, I specifically do not land at airports that do. Mammoth, for instance, Santa Barbara, those kind of folks. You land, you've automatically opened your wallet, basically. And I think that's wrong for a city to try and do that to general aviation, especially light aircraft. Again, so I appreciate the way the commission came upon the thing. I do have a final question, though, on the building rental, Mark. Do you also, it's $2 a square foot that you're proposing, is there also like a cleaning fee and things that are other costs that are involved to rent a facility?
No, that would be wrapped into the $2 per square foot.
Really?
Yeah. Just as a point of reference, the conference room would be about $500 per day. This would likely be rented from those companies. Those tech companies are using the testing site. We'd be providing them conference room, obviously conference room access, a little kitchenette, video conferencing equipment so that they can hold their business meetings. Mm-hmm. And at $500 a day, it's about $60 an hour if you wanted to rent it for an hour.
Mm-hmm. Do we also already have a contract with cleaning facility people that come in and take care of the terminal? Yeah.
Correct.
And that's the bathrooms included?
Yeah.
All right. Is that done daily or is it done several times a week?
We have that 5 days a week now.
5 days.
We bumped it up from 2 or 3 days a week to 5.
Right. Okay. That's all the questions I had. I'll open up to the public. Anybody wishing to make a comment on the item, please come forward. Dale?
Dale Augustin, just a comment. I'm glad that you sought the input from the Airport Commission. The last time you ignored the recommendation of the Airport Commission was when City Council dealt with Dave Wyrick, and you know what happened there. So I'm glad that you involved the Airport Commission.
Andrew?
Andrew Robillard on behalf of ACI Jet, 4900 Wingway, Paso Robles. As the report outlined by Mr. Skandalis showed, that there's many fees that are outdated, not in line with fees similar to the airports around us. For this reason, ACI Jet's in favor of recommendation 2, adoption of the fees, with the addition of 2 important points of clarification. First, the city should clarify within the footnotes of the schedule that parking fees are only applicable to aircraft on public areas of the airport. And they are not applicable to aircraft that park on privately leased portions. And then second, the city should clarify within the footnote that of the comprehensive fees schedule that landing fees do not apply to aircraft that are leasing ramp, hangar, or hangar space from an airport tenant. These 2 changes would bring an otherwise excellent revenue stream in line with what we're accustomed to at other airports we operate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Mark, I believe, didn't I hear that if you're renting or if you're a tenant in the hangar that you're not going to be charged?
Yeah, that if you're a based aircraft. I think Andrew's thinking about the designation. If you're coming from a different airport and you were to park in somebody's hangar, even though you are not based, you're not paying, your based means you're paying taxes in Paso Robles. If you're not based, then you wouldn't. I don't know if that's something that council can make a decision on.
Yeah, how would you police that? That's what I'm wondering about. Yeah, well, Andrew, you have, go ahead. If you have some more information, that would be good. You're the experts on this too.
Just to kind of add some context, if we have a tenant at one of our other locations, specifically San Luis Obispo County uses Vector. It's that third party that administers the fees. We have a general mailbox that's set up with Vector in the county of San Luis Obispo. And if we have a tenant, we can say, okay, this in number is now a tenant of ACI Jet. We send the email to Vector. Vector puts it on their system so it filters out that person so they're not being charged landing fees because that individual has an arrangement with ACI Jet to be coming in and be a base tenant with ACI, not necessarily the definition of an FFA or FAA base tenant, but a base tenant of ACI Jet. So that person wouldn't be charged a landing fee because they are coming in general, a tenant of ours would be coming in frequently and buying lots of fuel and, spending time in the community. So that's how that works.
Okay. Yeah, Chris.
How often does that happen?
We have around, I'd say 40 base tenants or so. So I'm adding one maybe every quarter, maybe two a quarter. It's not very frequent. And then when one leaves, I notify Vector, that plane gets removed. And if it does come back in, then the fee applies to it.
Does that also include like aircraft for now, like NetJets or, how would that fit in?
It does not. So NetJets, if they were to arrive, they are charged a fee. ExoJet, anybody else, Wheels Up, all the, Surf Air, that would all apply.
Okay, good. That's fine. Thank you. Mark, do you have any idea or any reasons why we wouldn't want to incorporate clarifications like that?
Well, the city does have the right to waive fees as we see necessary. This will be kind of a moving target. There will be other things that will come up that will need to be waived, and we can handle this on a case-by-case basis. I think Andrew's proposal is not unreasonable, and if we can get a base list from them that are hanging in their or parking in their hangars consistently, I think that's reasonable.
So you can handle within your office with basically the document we have.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, I was going to ask any more from anybody from the public wishing to make a comment. Sounds like not. Okay, bring it back to council for discussion. Anyone online, Mary?
No, sir.
Okay.
Are we closing the public hearing?
I'm ready to go.
Go ahead, Steve.
Do we need to close?
Yeah, it's discussion now.
So I'd like to go ahead and make a motion. I recommend we adopt the updated airport fee schedule as presented for implementation and for our airport manager to include the language for what he just suggested. And that's my motion.
Second, and if that includes the suggested amendment?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Second.
Okay, we've got a motion by Gregory, second by Strong.
I'd like to say one more thing.
Any discussion? Go ahead.
Yeah, and thank you for the work, Mark. You did a really good job on this. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. It need to be done. So thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and call for the question then, Mary.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Very good. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and close public hearings and move on to city manager report. Ty Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Do have some things to update the community on. So for those that don't know, Caltrans, we're happy to announce that they approved our circulation of our environmental documents for our pursuit of State Highway 46 and Union Road intersection improvements. Nice. So another step in getting us closer to shovel ready for the eventual expansion out towards the airport and all the development that's out that way, a critical piece of that circulation element. We also have support from new support on that as well. We got a letter from the California Trucking Association to help us out in that endeavor as we seek state and federal dollars to help fund that. And we, let's see here, sorry about that. Have a new fire protection specialist that was hired recently for the fire department. So we have, or excuse me, she'll assist the fire marshal, Christy Whittington. So fire department's happy to see that addition over there as well, especially with all of the new development and all the projects that we have there, critical piece of their preventive work, administrative work. Fire department news again. They got 2 grants. They have funding from the SLO County Fire Safe Council, as well as a $430,000 grant from CAL FIRE, which will help with hazardous fuels mitigation throughout the city. It should help include buying a UTV mower, trailer house, and track chipper, as well as masticator and flatbed trailer to assist the fire department, again, with critical prevention work. They continue to be on a roll implementing Zone Haven, which is a mass evacuation application that helps notify the communications or the community. So you might have heard of other cities that are doing this as well, where you have a zone that's issued to you, and when you get notification for your zone to evacuate, this app and program will help facilitate that as well. And so, yeah, lots of busy stuff going on. Spaceport application license is moving forward. We're now into a section that requires an explosive site plan, which we've contracted for to be able to move that forward. So I think that we're on schedule to hopefully be able to get that application completed in the next month or so, which is exciting if all goes well. And the library and recreation folks are in the news. They have over 600 youth that have participated in 50 different summer camps in partnership with Recreation Services and contract instructors as well. And last but not least, Paso Robles community was in the news. We were named by I think it was USA Today as the top wine destination in the country. So a couple accolades there. And I think that's, you're up to date on my report.
Great. Thank you, Todd. Well done. Okay, we're at to council business and committee reports. Anyone who'd like to start off?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I had one big meeting, actually, since our last meeting, and that was went to Tacoma, Washington, for the National League of Cities leadership meeting. It was a conference we have once a year for the leadership of the National League of Cities. And in the meetings, I was able to bring up my experiences from Detroit with the National Association of Regional Councils, which is all the regional governments of the United States, where I'm transportation chairman. And one of the things that happened there was that we had the opportunity to actually talk with the federal people who we had invited as our speakers, rather than just have them talk to us. And we usually just feel like they're just telling us what they want us to do and what we should do, et cetera, et cetera. But when we had the conversation, they actually started listening to us and started taking notes and started asking questions, and they were learning what we see on the ground that they don't see when they're from their big overall look. So we brought that up in Tacoma, or I did, and unanimously across the country, all the cities supported me, and we are now going to be seeking from federal government and from those officials direct federal money to cities for their projects that are totally within the city. And also we are going to have one-on-one talks with the top federal DOT officials regarding that money and those allocations and how they're allocating the money to us. One of the things that came out in the meeting in Detroit that they responded to was that their grant process is so complicated and so expensive that it eats up too much of the money and the time, and that smaller jurisdictions don't have a chance compared to the big ones because they don't have the personnel, they don't have the resources, they don't have the expertise. So they're all of a sudden seeing that maybe they have to go more to direct allocation rather than grants. They acknowledge that while they can see the forest, we're much better at seeing the trees. And we have to go do these projects at the tree level. not at the forest level. So that came out very well. And our next meeting is in Atlanta, and we will be inviting them to talk with us, not just to talk at us. And finally, they unanimously confirmed my appointment representing all the cities of the United States on the board of directors of the National Association of Regional Councils for all the regional governments of the United States. So I will be representing the cities of the United States at those meetings. That's my report.
Sounds like they're doing some common sense thinking. That's very important. Great. Steve Gregory.
We're working away on a couple ad hoc committees. Mr. Hammond and I worked on ECHO today on our ad hoc to work with their MOU with us. Also, Mr. Bausch and I had our second of 4 meetings with the ad hoc for the parking, and that is moving along.
Very well.
And a lot of communication, a lot of ideas. It's really good. I'd also like to take this moment to say thank you to Mr. Britton and Mark and ACI Jet for making our airport a better place. You guys are doing a great job. And it's nice to see our staff and our partners protect and develop, make our facilities better. So thank you for that. I'd also like to say thank you to the Fair Board and the Fair for a great week. 2 weeks. It was like a ghost town on Monday morning, but it's really nice. A lot of families enjoyed it. B-52 were there, it's airport related, but anyway. So
That's a stretch.
it was just a really nice fair again, and I appreciate it for the city because it brings a lot of people here and it has a lot of entertainment value. So thank you to the Fair Board and to the community for hosting that fair every year. That's all I have.
Okay. Chris Bausch.
Well played. Good job. The ad hoc committee for the parking, lots of starting to come together, lots of ideas on what can be done. Options are still open. So thank you. If you have ideas, be sure to share them with the ad hoc committee. I think the original meeting was scheduled, or the next meeting was scheduled for next week. That won't happen. Will take place on the 14th, if you're keeping track of that. Attended the Paso Basin cooperative meeting. I'll let Mr. Hammond talk about that. Fascinating interplay at that meeting. Very, very interesting. Attended the fair. Just to echo Mr. Gregory's remarks, it was a great fair. I've been going to the fair now, I think, for about 25 years. One of the best fairs ever, so thank you to the fair board, to all the employees, to Clean and all the staff there. Congratulations to all the exhibitors, especially the showmanship and everyone who showed animals. There's a lot of work to all the industrial arts folks that put on and build projects. Really showcases what Paso Robles, North County is all about. If you're a newcomer to the area and you miss the fair, make sure you schedule time to attend next year. It's an amazing event. I think that's about all I want to share today. So thanks very much.
All right. Very good, Chris. Thank you. Reports for myself. Again, I did have the Paso Basin Cooperative Committee, which is what Chris Bausch attended. The highlight of that one is that we now have El Pomar Water District included in our GSP or GSA group. Paso Basin is a cooperative committee between GSAs, groundwater sustainability agencies, Paso being one. Now El Pomar has a water district. They are a GSA, and they are part of our cooperative committee to get the water basin into sustainability. So we'll be looking forward to that in the future. Also attended ECHO meetings with the homeless issues and night-by-night beds that came up recently in discussion. Also, I wanted to ask how maybe the A400 is doing. I see it out there. ACI is hosting the British again. We see them out at the airport. I saw them taxiing out the other day with no problem. Good to have them on board and having operations going on. I imagine they really enjoy our heat, but that's another subject. And Britain is a little different than Paso Robles, that's for sure. The other thing I was going to mention too, shout out to our fire department. Randy, I don't know if you heard, but you probably got the report, but yesterday we had a structure fire on 14th and Olive, and I actually followed the engines in, and they had that thing knocked down within 5 to 10 minutes. It was amazing. The crew, it was amazing, the unity and how everything went so well on that. They had the truck and 2 other engines there too. So the owner was very impressed because I was speaking to him at the time. Robbie Smith was the IC on that, so it was great. Good to see that. That's all I had for reports. Anything else for the good of the order before I go on? We have upcoming events that we need to acknowledge. We have the Paso Robles Youth Commission Advisory Committee meeting August 2nd, 5 o'clock. Paso Robles Development Review Committee, August 7th at 3:30. Paso Robles Planning Commission coming up on August 8th at 6:30. Library Board of Trustees, August 10th, 9 a.m. Paso Robles Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, August 14th at 1:30. And the Paso Robles Development Review Committee again, August 14th, 3:30. And we have the Paso Robles Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee regular meeting of August 14th at 4 p.m. Then we also have a Sunrise Villa groundbreaking. Warren, where is that going to be? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so Sunrise Villas is part of the Olson South Chandler specific plan. So that's a Paso Robles Housing Authority City Partnership Project. So that's the corner basically of Fontana and Sherwood Road. So that's where the groundbreaking will be.
We have groundbreaking August 15th at 5 p.m. Any of the council can make that would be great. Then finally, our next city council meeting is going to be August 15th, 6:30 back here. We also have coming soon, looks like, Teen Center ribbon cutting, August 19th at 10 a.m. Teen Center grand opening, August 21st is going to be at 2 p.m. So those are the things that are coming up. And anything else for anybody to do that? So I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second by Strong, Gregory and Strong. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.